This is the Yepcast, where we're building a tribe of creators, movers, and shakers,
and inspiring young entrepreneurs to learn, think, and support one another.
Woo! Bienvenidos a episodio dos, everyone. Welcome back for another episode of the Yepcast. My name is James Nuveen.
And my name's Madeline Martini. We are so excited to be back today.
We are actually very excited. That was not an understatement. That was no hyperbole. We are very excited to be back in front of the microphone and be talking with you guys again.
Yes. So let's just dive right in, you think?
Yeah.
Okay. So today we're talking all about how do I get noticed? And this is something that in every career, in your any kind of life journey, you can have this comes up, like whether in your personal life, your dating life, or your entrepreneurship journey. So we're going to help you with that and kind of our journeys of getting noticed, and especially through Yepcast. So without further ado.
So as Madeline explained, today we are going to talk about how do you get noticed in this world, whether it be entrepreneurially by other entrepreneurs your age, people who are recruiting you for startups, corporate jobs, really anything. How do you get noticed anywhere in the world? How do you elevate your name? How do you put yourself out there and have people recognize your face and name when you introduce yourself somewhere?
We're by no means famous. Obviously, we are just two kids in Ohio, but we have definitely made a name for ourselves, I think, amongst our respective startups and environments that we've worked in. So we're going to tell you a little bit about how we're doing that and how we're continually doing that. Once you make a name for yourself, or if you're on that journey, it's never over. Your reputation can always change.
Let's first talk about the importance of your image.
Yeah.
So as you are going through college, whether it be in your hometown or your home state or completely out of state like I was, I live exactly 1,000 miles away from my home. So before going to college, I didn't know anyone, literally anyone in either the state that I was going to or the college that I was going to. No one from my state was actually going to the same school I currently go to. So it was a huge shift for me, not knowing a single person. So I knew entering that school, and this had nothing to do with entrepreneurship. This was just me. I knew I had to make a name for myself. I wanted people to remember the last name Nuveen. Whether they associated it with the investment bank in Chicago, I didn't really care, but I wanted them to know my last name and associate my first name with it and know what I was all about. And I think that's what anybody's intention is when they go to college. I mean, that's not that was definitely not my number one goal or anything.
Yeah, you want to be the big man on campus.
Yeah. But I mean, you want people to know you for who you are, and you want that reputation to exist pretty consistently among every single crowd at your school, whether it be the chess club or your fraternity. So going back to the importance of your image, I think it's crucial first to create your image at your school and then to translate that to the business world and the real world. Being known in your local city or the nearest city to your college or wherever you want to land after college is so, so, so important. Especially if you are in the entrepreneurial world where we're so close-knit and tightly woven like a family. How beneficial would that be to enter that real world already being known and already being recognized by every name in that industry?
I think the other thing we should talk about too is going off of what you said about you're creating your new image, which is so daunting. Like restarting over, remaking friends, rebuilding who you are. And you do that a lot when you're young. Like every time you enter high school, you enter college, you start an internship, you're constantly reinventing yourself. It's constant. So how do we do that? Like, and you are a brand as well. So what do you think about that, Jimmy?
Well, first of all, I want to talk about my days in high school when I went through this phase of course I had an image. I was kind of like an outdoorsy kid and super flamboyant, and I just didn't really care what anybody thought about me. But I went through this phase in, I think, my junior year where I wore high socks every single day, almost up to my knees. And they could be bright orange like a hunter, or straight black, and I'd match them with my whole outfit. And it was weird and it was funny, but people would like associate that activity or that piece of clothing with Jimmy Nuveen or James Nuveen. And that's something, there's something to be said about that. I don't know if I want, like nowadays I don't want that associated with me, but at that time people knew me for being that guy. And there's a famous businessman in our industry that we've been following quite a bit lately, and his name is Seth Godin. And what he talks about religiously, he preaches this, is to be remarkable. And you might think remarkable might just mean neat or cool or different, but to its core, it means worth a remark. So when I walked down the halls in my junior year of high school, people would look at me and probably say something to their friends. Like, oh my God, that kid looks so weird. Or, what is that kid doing? Does he think he's cool? Or, I don't know what they thought, but I didn't really care. But thinking back, I wasn't thinking this at the moment, but thinking back, that was pretty remarkable.
That's so bold. I had no idea about that. Yeah, and I think part of that too is you weren't scared to be yourself. Like you had to really, to wear that kind of color and socks, you have to really not care what other people think. And
I'm
that's a
glad,
huge part of this.
I'm glad it was just a phase.
Yeah. Imagine you now walking down the streets.
Yeah. So
yeah.
Did you do anything specific to either create your brand in high school or college? Probably.
Yeah.
That's more relevant. What did you do in college to create your brand and to kind of get noticed in the entrepreneurial world?
Yeah, that's a really great question. I think I've never done something quite as bold. I wish I had. That takes some balls to do that. But I would say I'm kind of actively aware of how I'm speaking and how I'm appearing to others, as well as like if I'm open, I want to be known as somebody who you can come to, you can tell anything, and I'm always there to help you. And I think to do that, you have to really be active about it. You have to show up to events. I went to a ton of different events in college, from like networking type scenarios to just hearing random speakers on campus. And I always wanted to give back. I don't know. It's a tricky thing because you don't want to get too obsessed with it too, because you have to be you through it all. But I would say I was always known at college. This is kind of maybe unique. Is probably I was known to be a kid who dressed up. Like I would never normally wear leggings to class or anything like that. Which no hate on leggings. I wear them all the time. But I just was kind of known to be dressed up because that's how I felt my best then. And I think if you're feeling your best and you're doing what makes you feel good, then that kind of projects and everyone is kind of attracted to that. So in
both of our personal stories that we just talked about, there's definitely a consistency. Sticking out, being different, and not fitting in is definitely consistent between both of our stories. And again, to bring up Seth Godin, that's really his philosophy. He's a marketer of not only people, but goods too. He doesn't want to walk down an aisle and see a bunch of bland cereals. He wants to see something that grabs his attention and looks different than everything else. And one of his books that he wrote recently was called The Purple Cow. Because when you're driving on a rural street and you're driving past a farm and you see a bunch of cows, there's nothing about that would make you look at the cows for an extended period of time or even pay attention to them because they're just so common. But if you saw a purple cow with black spots, that would be remarkable. And you would have to tell your friends about it. And that's what he's talking about when he's talking about being remarkable in the marketplace. But that applies so much to us, our personal brand. And that's how I think we get noticed. Being bold, being different, refusing to fit in with the rest of people, challenging the status quo, really.
I agree. Also, I wanted to talk a little bit about ways that you can kind of stand out. Obviously, appearance is one way, personality is another. And then another I was thinking through is how you work and how you work with others. And does hard work equal standing out? Because there's a lot of people who work hard in life and who don't stand out as much as others. So how do you do that at your internship, at your job, anywhere you are in life? How do you kind of stand out by your work? And there's a quote, and I'm gonna butcher this, but I'll put it in the description below. So it's something like, work hard and let your work with your head down and let your work be your praise, something like that. Read the description, it'll be there. But I think if you're truly passionate about what you're doing, that kind of shines through your work. So passion for me is another way that you can stand out, because you can feel if somebody hates their job, you can kind of feel that as a coworker, as a friend. It's so noticeable. And so if you love what you do, that already is infectious, and people are going to want to be around that, and that will also help you get noticed.
Going off of being bold again, I kind of want to talk about mentorship. So in that case, just reach out to literally anyone you know who you think is credible, has authority in your industry, and is worth talking to, and you respect their advice. Email them. Post all over social media, not only to them, but just to get your name out there and have them know who you are before you meet with them or before you contact them, so they know that you're trying.
And another thing off that too, with the whole social media thing, really use that to your advantage. It can be just a place where you watch cat videos, but kind of use it for more than something than that. Go on LinkedIn, find people, and then also post about things you care about. And don't just post to post. I hate when people do that. Write something about it. If I see anybody post just an article, like that can be cool sometimes, but share it and like tell why you love it. Because again, back to the point of passion, like that's going to shine through. People are going to be attracted to that, and you're going to get noticed from that.
Something I just thought about is if you had, let's say, money to spend on your social media, if it weren't free, what if you only had $5 to spend on every single post you make in a year? Not every single post. Of all the posts you post on a certain channel of social media, let's say LinkedIn. Let's choose LinkedIn for this example. You have $5 for the whole year. Devote a portion of that $5 to every single post you post and make it worth your money. Make it worth your time. Because if you're just posting to post, it just doesn't make sense.
No.
And no one will give a shit about what you're saying.
Yeah.
Especially when it has no opinion, no content, no substance. It just doesn't matter. People will pass over it 100% of the time.
Yeah. And we're talking a lot about getting noticed, and we haven't talked a lot about that you can get noticed for being annoying in a bad way. It's not always good, there's a phrase, everyone knows it, no publicity is bad publicity. That's not true. Some publicity, I don't know if you agree with this, but some publicity is bad publicity. I don't want to be known to be someone fake and just going on LinkedIn, la, and putting whatever out there just so that way my name pops up in your feed. Like, that's not a good kind of getting noticed in my book.
I actually 100% agree. For once in a couple hours, we agree on something, Madeline.
That's good.
Yeah. So in this industry that we are both in, this entrepreneurship industry, it's so closely knit. Everyone knows everyone, especially in a smaller city. We're in Cincinnati. We're located in Cincinnati, and the Startup Cincy movement is medium-sized and growing rapidly, actually, and we're very proud of that.
Yeah.
But it's not gigantic where you don't know everyone in it. Everyone knows, is probably a second-degree connection with everyone in this community. And if you're lambasting LinkedIn or Facebook or Twitter, or going on Snapchat and posting drunk snaps every single night of the week, not only the weekend, but the week, then you're putting your name out there as whatever people characterize you as. Control the narrative about your name by controlling what you post and controlling what you say to people.
Yes. And you hear all the time, like when I remember when I was in high school, I heard these horror stories that kids get kicked out, or not get kicked out, but lose their scholarship because they posted some kind of underage drinking on Facebook. And I always, when I thought about that to myself, I was like, that should not be your only reason. You shouldn't just be in fear like, oh, I hate that I might lose this scholarship. You should do it because that's your name. That's your name on the line. And I'm not saying anything about underage drinking in this, but I'm just saying that does add up to your brand. And people see that out there. And I mean, it's just society. People build thoughts about that. And that all should be part of it. But do all of this because from a genuine place. Don't do it because I want to be seen as professional or I want to be seen as this type of person. Do it because this is how you are. And maybe that is how you are. Maybe you want a party reputation. You can have that. I mean, you can make a name for yourself in that world too. It doesn't matter, but just know that's what it all comes back to.
It is college after all, and obviously you're allowed to have fun.
Yeah.
But just be aware of what you're saying and what you're doing, and don't let something that you don't want to get out there.
Yeah. Because there's also a filter. Through all of this, it's tech. So you're not actually, your voice is out there, what you're saying, but it can be interpreted in any which way. So be aware of that.
Another thing I want to talk about in terms of getting noticed in this huge world is literally just taking action, just doing. No more sitting on the couch, drinking beer, eating chips all fucking night. No more of that. I mean, you can do that, but have your computer on your lap and post to social media. Email some people in your department at your university and get noticed. I mean, if you're not making an effort to get noticed, then what the hell are you complaining about?
Yeah. And it's so easy. It is so easy now. There's countless events. Like, just go on meetup.com. We use that a lot. Eventbrite, we use a ton. Even Facebook, even though people say it's for old people now, it's not. I'm obsessed with Facebook events. You can just go on there, search something you're interested in. It doesn't have to be entrepreneurship. It doesn't have to be anything even career related. So that's another thing I want to talk about is you can meet people through your common interests. So if you're both really interested in coffee or yoga or basketball, join a league, join a class, and you'll meet people there. It's not always about your career with getting noticed, and you don't know who people in your life will lead to, what will come next from that connection.
And also, don't expect it to happen overnight. You're not going to get calls from your local radio station tomorrow morning about your success at school because you have a 3.4 GPA. You're not going to get calls about that. And it's not going to happen overnight. You have to be patient. And one story I heard at a conference I went to this summer, there's a woman from New Zealand named Charlie Prangley, and she's a YouTuber. And I think for about a year, she literally had 0 subscribers for a year, putting out videos. I don't know if it was weekly or bi-weekly or even daily, but still, she didn't have subscribers for a year, and she kept going. She kept pursuing the ultimate goal of her mission. And after a year, she grew like crazy. Like crazy. She hit hockey stick growth, and her subscriber rate increased exponentially. So yes, it's not going to happen overnight. You have to be a little patient, and that's the hardest part. But you have to realize what other people before you have gone through to get where you want to be.
Absolutely.
It's not going to happen overnight.
Thanks. Thanks so much for listening again. We wanted to bring you some things that are really relevant in our lives right now and buzzing in the young entrepreneur world. So I wanted to talk a little bit about a 22-year-old right here in Ohio, which we film in Ohio, and he is created a 3D scanner that can diagnose heart disease in 90 seconds. He was featured on CNN. He dropped out of Ohio State University to start this company, and he's been backed by Mark Cuban and some huge investors. Isn't this insane, James?
Yeah.
And his name is Piyush Srivastava. And we are so excited to highlight him going forward. We want to highlight someone every single week on the Yepcast.
And also, I have a resource for you all to watch, and hopefully on a little bit faster speed than 1.0, because this will be a 46-minute video otherwise. So you can watch it in 23 minutes if you put it on 2.0 speed, which is well worth your time. His name, again, is Seth Godin. We mentioned him a couple times today. And the video is Your Job is to Make Art. Why we need generosity more than ever. Boom. That is awesome. So we're going to put that link below, and you guys can watch that. Hopefully sped up again.
Productivity.
So you can maximize your efficiency and productivity and learn from him in a super fast way. So again, we thank you guys so much for tuning in. We had a lot of fun during this episode, and we look to see you guys soon in our next either pivot or in our next Yepcast episode.
Thanks again. Bye, guys.
Peace.